I feel it was a great privilege and an honor to be in the military service in World War II. I'm sure that we had the right attitude towards the war, that it was to preserve our liberties and our freedoms, that we weren't out there to retaliate for things that had been done to us, but to defend our truths so that we could live according to the dictates of our conscience and not have our freedoms removed whereby we had to bow to the dictates of the government. When the war started, I was at Utah State University in Logan, going to school there. Came over the radio, President Roosevelt announced that the Japanese had attacked Pearl Harbor. It was the great day of infamy for the world, and that the United States was now officially at war with the Japanese Empire. Well, I knew when this news came over the radio that I'd have a change of lifestyle. I felt there very definitely that I should be involved in helping to right the wrongs that were committed by that dastardly attack, and I felt that I knew that I was right at the age where I'd be required to participate in this great conflict. My mom was worried about me, of course, and thought there could be other ways I could serve rather than being in the active military part of it. But I chose that I'd like to be in the real part of it rather than sweeping floors in a hangar is my part of helping in this war effort. I was a hot dog fighter pilot, as the definition would go. I liked to feel the freedom of the great blue yonder and fly an aircraft that was maneuverable and fast. And we had our choice when we graduated, received our Navy Wings of Gold. We could either go into flying bombers or fighter planes or dive bombers or twin engine planes, and I chose the fighter plane because I felt it was more to my way of living. To fly an airplane took a lot of skill, but it also took more skill to be able to fly when you were under attack. Well, every day when we were in actual combat was a stress and a strain. Whenever we'd take off from the aircraft, there's about 50-50 chance that you'd return. So it wasn't really fear, it was just a little anxiety, I think. I have some very wonderful thoughts about my dear wife. We met just a little bit before I went into the service. She wrote me about every week, even in our first courtship days. And then after we were married, she wrote to me every day. Of course, we didn't get the mail on a regular basis, but we would have a pile of letters when the mail call came, and I wrote to her every night. And so we had a good communication, and she was my inspiration, my guidance, and my true love to help me through difficult times. I knew she was praying for me. I knew my mother was praying for me, and that made me feel that the Lord would hear their prayers, and whatever it took, I'd have the blessings, if not to survive, at least to do the things that were honorable and stay true to the teachings of the church. The sad part of war is that people get killed. And I had many very close friends that were either killed in combat or in the training, but each one had a special place, still does have a special place in my heart to the remembrance of them and their friendship towards me. I think the scariest moment that I had in actual combat is when we were flying on targets in the Japanese territory, and we would approach a target at about 15,000 feet, and we had to dive down through what looked like a solid mass of anti-aircraft fire with those projectiles bursting in a different color of flak. And as I was diving down through, I could just kind of look out of my peripheral vision and see planes going down in flames. I didn't know but what any minute one of those would be accurately fired and I'd be one of the flaming down. I think that was my most anxious moment. I always had a prayer in my heart when, whether we were in combat or just any time away from home. Well, it carries on into the home front too. Always had a prayer in my heart that I'd be blessed to be able to do the right thing at the right time, have the most positive effect on people. Our Heavenly Father is watching over us all the time, and if we will acknowledge His great power, have faith in Him and His Son Jesus Christ, we will have the blessings come to us that are needed to be successful and to complete this plan of life and salvation that is outlined in this the Church of Jesus Christ. War is about killing. That's it. You train to kill people. That's the sad part of it. We'd like to think that our goal in life is to save lives and help people live more complete. So war is hell in that respect. But I didn't see face to face any person that I killed being in the air. I'd imagine those planes or those bombs would drop on targets that had people in the target, and I imagine there were a lot that lost their life just as they did in Pearl Harbor when it was bombed. Being on board a carrier in the ocean is like being at a city at sea. They have all the conveniences of home, practically. We had some great experiences on the Wasp. Our group leader from the LDS Church would arrange to have sacrament meetings each Sunday, and we had the opportunity to partake of the sacrament, and each meeting was more like a testimony than we gave up everybody a chance to bear their testimony. On the 3,000 people aboard the carrier, there weren't more than a dozen that were LDS. I was the only member of our air group that was a member of the church. And I was the only officer that would attend those meetings, those sacrament meetings. But there were a few enlisted men that would attend faithfully. So that was a great experience to renew our covenants and ask the Lord's blessings and protection for us in that great conflict. We had real close association with many good men in the service. The hardest part about the war was that it separated us from our loved ones, and we couldn't be with them every day to care for their needs and desires and the aches and pains that they had suffered thinking of our well-being. So I think that's the hardest part of war, is the real personal association it is, right in your own heart. Well, we were in the operating off Okinawa. A kamikaze dropped a bomb and it hit our ship. The bomb went through the front elevator down into the galley. There were about 200 people that were killed on the ship. And due to the great training, they were able to put the fires out and get the ship so it could take planes on board again after they had been out on their flight. Our squadron was out on a flight at the time the bomb hit the ship, and some of our planes ran out of gas before they could get back on board. But I didn't have any problem that way. I was able to land safely, and it was really sad though to think I had many of my good friends that were on the ship's crew that were killed. There weren't any on that particular day that were killed in the squadron, but a lot of the ship's crew died. Very sad affair. It was about 2 weeks later, as we was steaming towards the United States anyway, that the burial service was conducted for those that had been killed. It was kind of sad to just see their bodies dumped overboard instead of having a right burial. They're buried at sea, and that was one of the harder parts of my experience. We had a real challenge in keeping the proper spirit of why we were actually in this war. We didn't like the idea that we were killing people. We just tried to put it through our mind that we were protecting our rights and our great privileges to live in this great nation. When the ship was hit, the bomb put it kind of out of commission. In fact, we had to return to the United States for repairs because they weren't able to fix it at Pearl Harbor. It just happened that during that break in our training, that they gave us a few days leave. I had the opportunity to fly an aircraft home and to Pleasant Grove and buzz the town and drop a note to my dear wife and tell her to meet me at the Salt Lake Airport, and I had a day off that we could renew our association a little bit. And I was able to return to Pleasant Grove just in time to witness the birth of our first child, Connie, and that was a real answer to prayers. Never thought when I prayed about that it'd be possible for that to happen, but that was a real privilege to be home at that particular time, even though it was just for a brief visit. Gee, that was great. That was a great opportunity. Not very many aviators in the World War II had the opportunity to fly over their hometown and give a few wing signals and show the people what a great aircraft the Navy had as we flew that F-4U Corsair. She was impressed, I should say, by my accuracy of dropping the note. Landed right on her front yard, and that was a pretty close calculation. I had to throw the note out about 2 city blocks ahead of where it was supposed to land. Had to figure out the trajectory of the note. It's a weighted note, not just a piece of paper. And so she was elated to get that note from me, and we had a great reunion for a few hours. I think my dear wife thinks I'm about the most perfect man in the world. I have her kind of fooled a little bit. But she has truly been a great helpmate, always sustained me in my efforts, given me encouragement to do the things that I should be doing, whether it be on